All right, everybody, we'll do a couple of reminders before we get started. Video of today's presser will be available at the NCAA Digital Media Hub. Again, if you have a question, please state your name and affiliation. If you have a question for our student athletes, please direct your question to a specific student athlete. Regarding the format for today's press conference, Coach will give an opening statement. Our student athletes and coach will be up here for 20 minutes, after which our student athletes will be dismissed to their breakout rooms. There will be people to direct you to the breakout rooms if you're interested. Coach will remain for additional 20 minutes, so we would encourage you to direct your questions to the student athletes first. Coach, whenever you're ready.
Yeah, well, we're obviously really excited and proud to be playing tomorrow night, and against an outstanding Arkansas team. Eric's done a great job with his squad. It's 2 in a row now. We're playing against 2 of the top defenses in the country, and they're different, but they're at the same level. And in Note, you have one of the most explosive players in the country. So it'll be a heck of a game. We're healthy. Obviously, we're trying to get refreshed today. We're going to, after all the media, we'll go and not have a hard practice, but a good stretch, walk through our game plan, and try to get therapy so that we're as fresh as we can be. But everyone should be ready to play.
Questions? Bob, we'll start with you. Oh, sorry. Bob, we'll get you a mic in a second. Go ahead.
All right, this question is for Jeremy. Luke DeCock from the News and Observer. The floor slapping stuff last night, I mean, when Duke was really kind of in its floor slapping glory days, you guys were either not alive or very young. How did that kind of come into your mind? Like, how do you learn about that? Where does that get kind of passed down?
I mean, I think it's just in the Duke, like in the Duke basketball community. It's been going on for how 42 years. For however long the GOAT's been here, so I mean it's a staple in the program for sure. And when you see a Duke team slap the floor, you know they're all locked in. All 5 guys are locked in on one task and getting that stop. So I think that's a big thing.
Hey guys, I'm Bob Holt, the Arkansas Democrat Gazette. Paolo, I was wondering your take on Jalen Williams, just what you think about him as a player, and he's taken 52 charges, so he's pretty good at drawing fouls in there.
Yeah, he's a key player for them. Definitely seems like he kind of keeps them together. He's able to pass, shoot, really do everything at the 5 spot for him. So, he's a great player. And then, like you said, the charges, that's not something that you see a lot, a big man taking that many charges. And it's real unique. So, you got to be aware of him at all times, just where he's at on the floor.
Question from Mark.
Mark Spears, ESPN's Landscape. Coach, can you talk about?
Why don't you get them? You want to?
Yeah, we can go. With
Okay, all right. I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry about. I just
No,
want to
I'm
ask
sorry.
you about Paolo's growth throughout the season, and what kind of influence as a basketball player do you think his mother has had on him?
All he is and all he ever hopes to be is a result of his mother. It's a West Point thing. You have to say it about your squad leader. And no, Rhonda's and Mario, they're great. Yeah, the thing with Paolo's really coachable. And a big reason for that is because of the family he comes from. And so he's gotten better and better. And then the thing that he's doing right now that is an emerging thing is he has a strong face and positive talk in the locker room, at a timeout, on the court, and he's really, that's another step forward. He's got so much more that he's still going to develop, but it's been a steady track up, and he's playing his best basketball right now.
Question in the middle.
Yeah, this is for Paolo and Wendell. A question about AJ. Just curious. This is Mark Cannizzaro from the New York Post, by the way. Just curious of what you've seen of his development this year. Obviously, Paolo, you're a fellow freshman. What have you seen of him from the time he got hurt until this point where he's at right now?
I mean, really, we've seen nothing but growth. Every single practice, AJ comes to work. He definitely puts in so much work off the court that people don't even see. It's translating to the game that he plays in now. So, I mean, every game he plays, I feel like he's getting better. He's getting better in some aspect, whether it's scoring, defensively. He's even talking a little bit now. So, I mean, so for us, that was a huge thing, really just to get him out of the shell, and I think he's finally coming out of the shell.
Question from Myron.
Myron Metcalf, ESPN. For Mark and Paolo, how important has Jeremy Roach's leadership been for what you all have been able to achieve so far in the NCAA tournament?
It's been huge. Obviously, Jeremy's a hell of a player, and especially in the tournament, he's been making plays, all throughout, and I think that just shows like the work he's been putting in all year, and credit goes to him for that.
We'll go back to Mark.
I just wanted Paolo to answer that question on AJ and his, what you've seen of him since, because when he got hurt, obviously in October, you didn't really know what that future stood for him, and he obviously, from all accounts, he worked so hard to get back.
Yeah, he's been through, more than any of us, just in terms of injuries and obstacles to get to where he's at. But he's as hard as a worker as you'll find. It was actually seemed like he was working too hard, early in the season. He was just in the gym all the time, getting shots and stuff like that. But that's just who he is. He's a great kid. He's a great teammate. He just wants to win. And so to see him, thrive like he has been, come back from injury, and just have a great season and step up in these big moments has been great. Just because we've seen, all year, the work he's put in and how far he's came.
Question on the right.
Hey, Brennan Marks from The Athletic. Question for Wendell. They've got two former ACC guys, in Audis and Chris Likes. Two-parter, did you get a chance to sort of peek your head out and see what Audis was able to do last night? And also, do you have any memories of playing against either of those two guys? I know Chris didn't play a whole ton last year.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have some memories of Audis. I mean, he gave us 27 and 22. The two games that we faced him while he was at Pitt. So he's definitely capable. He's for sure a great player. Coming from North Carolina, I was able to see him a lot just throughout the AU scene. And Chris, he's still a great player. At Miami, he was their leading scorer. He was an all-ACC player when he was ACC. So he's definitely he's really a good guard. So both those guys bring a lot of energy to that Arkansas team. They bring a lot of energy, athleticism, defense, scoring. So those two guys are two major parts of their team, and two things that we've been looking out for in the scout.
Question from Ron.
For Paolo, if you could, I'm sort of following up on Mark Spears' question about your mom's influence. How much have you seen videos of her playing? I imagine you were too young to probably see her play live much, but how much does your game resemble hers, and what do you sort of learn from basketball from her?
Yeah, she was definitely the main basketball influence in my life. She was a coach, really my early years growing up, so I was in the gym with her every day, watching practice, going with her to games and practices. And yeah, I have watched some of her old film and stuff. I've seen a couple, plays that I've made this year where it actually kind of does resemble. She wasn't really an outside player. She was definitely inside the arc, but, she was explosive, great finisher around the rim, always active on the glass. She was a high-energy player as well, so, I try and channel some of that. Some people might see me as more laid back, and my mom's the opposite, so I just try and channel some of that.
Question from Josh.
Josh Dubow from AP. Paolo, Coach talked last night about how you were doing things he'd never seen you do before. Was it sort of were you aware of that? Was it sort of a conscious effort that, okay, I need to take this game over at this point, or how did that come about?
I think it was just playing to win. That's a stage that I've never been on, just in my basketball career, on that big of a stage. So, when you're on that stage, it just brings things out of you when you're playing to win. Coach, he's been on me all year, and been pushing me all year. So, I'm sure him seeing me do that, I wouldn't say he was surprised, but it was probably good for him to see. You know, like he said, I feel like I'm playing my best basketball, but I also got, you know, more to do.
It would be nice to see it again.
Yeah, for sure.
And
Question
again and again.
Question to the right.
A question for Paulo. It's Rocco Miller with BracketsHere.org. You and I might be the only two people in this room originally from Seattle, so I got to ask you, how much did growing up and being part of Seattle basketball culture shape your game? And second part of the question is, are you talking to anybody, legends from Seattle that went through the tournament, maybe like Isaiah Thomas or others? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I would say as far as the influence Seattle's had, I would just say really just my natural feel for the game, and then just kind of free flowing, and just kind of being able to do a little bit of everything. I think I take pride in that. And then as far as, guys reaching out, yeah, a lot. Spencer Hawes was actually there yesterday. Isaiah watched the whole game. He called me after the game. DeJounte Murray called me after the game. So it's just, a big family, man. They're always watching and supporting and cheering for me. So it's, good to have them, in my corner.
Question over to the left.
Thank you. Hey guys, Claire Hanna with TSN. When Arkansas beat Gonzaga, it showed just how good their defense was, but especially how they limited their point guard, Andrew Nembhard. And I'm curious how much of an advantage it is to have that on tape and be able to study it and learn from it as you guys prepare to face them. And I'll give that one to Jeremy.
It's definitely good to see, the tape and how they adjusted to Gonzaga. They took them out of transition. They're real physical with them all game. So, I think just coming into this game tomorrow, we just got to match that intensity and even have more intensity than them coming out the gates, because you don't want to give them a rhythm early, because it can get scary.
Question to the right.
Steve Wiseman, Raleigh News and Observer. This is for Wendell. The team has been able to win or be successful with different groupings on the court at different times. Like the end of the Michigan State game, AJ was hurt, Trevor was out there. Last night, opposite. And then you had the ball handling lineup with Paolo with the 5. What have it allowed you guys to have that cohesion, that versatility this year?
I really think it's the trust and chemistry that we have in each other. So really, any 5 guys on the court, the other 4 guys have the supreme confidence that whoever has the ball is going to make a great play, not just for themselves, but it's going to be the right play for us to be able to win a game. And the main thing is that everybody who steps on the floor is all about winning. None of us have our own personal agendas while we're on the floor. We all just want to win. So that's really what's been showing these close games, these past 5-minute games that we've been showing. It's really just our will to win.
Over to the left with David.
David Thompson, USA Today Network. This question's for Coach K, if that's okay, just about Paolo. You talked last night about how you were impressed with him, especially in that 60-second spurt. I know you went back, you watched the tape. Was there anything else that really stuck out about his play yesterday?
I really didn't watch a tape of our game because I saw a lot. I was trying to catch up with Arkansas. So all I can say is that Paolo's game has gotten better and better as the tournament's gone along, but so has our teams. And a huge thing is when these guys are very close, when one guy's doing more, like I think it's who had the influence on each other. Jeremy's play, maybe that had an influence on Paolo or vice versa. Mark, they feed off one another. And maybe his play is as a result of the strong drives that Jeremy made just before that. And that's the beauty of a unit coming together at a high level.
Question in the back left.
Vash Tyhurt with Carolina Blitz. I guess this is for Wendell. I'm curious, there was talk last night about how you guys told Coach K that you wanted to switch from zone to man. What does that moment look like in the huddle telling Coach K that you want to, switch defense?
Really, it was just a talk. It was just a normal huddle for us. All 5 guys knew we needed to stop. The zone's been going great for us, but we just felt they got a couple buckets late. So we wanted to finish the game with our defense. And all year we've hung our hat really on our man-to-man defense. We knew we needed to stop. All 5 guys really just came together. And Coach trusted us, and he trusted us enough to allow us to be able to do what we wanted to do. It paid off.
Question to the left.
Hey there, this is Lane Higgins from the Wall Street Journal. This is for either Jeremy or Wendell. But there's probably not that many opportunities in your life when you are coached with someone with as much history with the game as the man that's sitting over to your right. And I know he was telling us about his time living at the Presidio when he was in the Army and playing there. But do you ever ask him questions about his history with the game when he comes to places like this? Because, with someone like Coach K, he's got a story for every arena.
Everybody who's a fan of basketball, kind of knows what he's been through, who he's coached for, who he's coached with. So you kind of know the story going into this tournament. Definitely ask him questions because he's been here before. He's been here more than any coach or player and who's ever played college basketball. So definitely taking all the knowledge he has, soaking it up, and using it to our advantage.
Question from Bob.
This is for Jeremy and Wendell, and kind of a follow-up. What do you guys think of J.D. Note? He's a high-volume shooter, and sometimes he's not hitting them, but he just seems to find a way to score. And then, Wendell, you were talking about Audis and, the big games he's had scoring-wise, but Eric Musselman's always praising his defense, how he's locking people down. Just wondering what you think of his defense as well.
So as far as J.D., he's definitely probably one of the better guards in the country. Like you said, if he misses a shot, it doesn't really mean anything to him. He's going to take the next one. Like it's his first shot. I think that's what makes him really such a great player. It's really just his short-term memory. Nothing seems to bother him. So even in the big moments, he has the supreme confidence, no matter how he's shooting, that he's going to hit the next shot. And as far as Audis, he does a little bit of everything for their team. He's really kind of like a glue that kind of holds them together just because he's able to do so much. He's able to defend, he's able to score, he's able to rebound. He's probably one of the tougher kids that they have on their team. So when you have a guy like that, he really just boosts their whole team up when he's playing well.
Question from Myron.
For Paolo and Wendell, I know you all have interacted with Steph Curry. I think he gave you guys some fist bumps coming in. And what was that like? A guy like that kind of being around the team going into yesterday's game.
Really, it was an honor, meeting a guy like Steph Curry. Obviously everybody knows what he's done, all the stuff he's done for the game, how he's changed the game. But just getting to meet him, you realize he's a real down-to-earth, humble guy. He got fans all around the world, a whole bunch of money, but he's just, he's a cool guy. He's talking to us, giving us advice, telling us, we won't get this back, so make sure to cherish it and be in the moment. And to hear that from a legend like him is priceless.
We'll do one final question for our student athletes.
Billy Witz with the New York Times. This is for Mark. When players come to Duke, they probably don't think about playing zone defense much, and there's the whole floor slapping thing, and that kind of connotes just getting up in your man. What was it like when you in the huddle last night when Coach made the decision to go to zone?
I think it was a good decision. Obviously, I think it gave them a different look as far as defense. We hadn't been in zone all game. We talked about it beforehand that there's a chance we could use it, and then we felt like that was a perfect time to use it, and I think it paid off.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Questions for Coach K? We'll start up here.
Got it.
Mike, the way this team has sort of come together and some of the intangibles really that it's shown in the Michigan State game and then again, are there parts of it that remind you of some of your older teams that you had guys for 3 or 4 years and you could sort of cultivate this over a longer period of time, but this team has kind of learned it sort of on the fly?
Well, not on the fly, but within a year. And before that, you would have years, John Shire had a tough freshman year, and then a junior year where Villanova killed us in the NCAA, and then he won a national championship. And so they were able to have adversity help build them. And when you only have them for a year, you're trying to avoid as much adversity, but in the last 10 days or so of the regular season and the tournament, we experienced a very deep level of adversity. And in some respects, it really helped us. And I'd rather not have experienced it, but I think it helped us. It hurt. They grew together and we all took responsibility and figured out what was wrong, and then we tried to correct it. And it was actually, in some respects, a good thing. But that usually happens it used to over a decade ago, over a period of time.
We'll go to Pat next.
Pat 40 from Sports Illustrated. Mike, I guess along those lines a little bit, what is the feeling like from a coaching standpoint of being able to get a team to achieve its full potential, and versus that maybe the regret of not getting a team all the way there?
Yeah, that's either the biggest good feeling you could have or the biggest bad feeling you have. And you know, if our season ended after Virginia Tech, even though we won the league and at that time won 27 or 28 games, and it would have been a downer. And the NCAA tournament that week before gave us an opportunity to have a good runway into the time of the year that if you do win, you're going to remember it forever. And so we're very fortunate to have this, and for these guys to do so well in their end of game situations. And but you know, you hit on it. It's a really good question because it really is. I don't remember records as much as how we ended. And so I hope this doesn't end tomorrow.
Question from Mark in the middle.
Hey, Mike, Mark Anazaro from the New York Post. With regard to AJ, I'm assuming you know his dad fairly well over the years.
Very well.
Going
yeah.
back to coaching against him, I think, or
no, but he actually was Tom Thibodeau's assistant.
Yes.
When Tom was my assistant for the U.S., so Adrian traveled with us with the U.S. team and helping us.
Just curious, what similarities maybe you see in the character of AJ to his dad, and how much of an influence do you feel like he's been on him?
Well, I think he's benefited from both of his parents. Both of his parents are outstanding athletes, and so they understood the commitment. Also, the genetic pull probably was good in that regard. You know, Adrian's dad was a minister, and I think the 6 to 8 months before AJ came to Duke, being with his dad, I think, had a profound effect on his faith. And he's very deep-rooted in it right now. And it's beautiful, really, to see. So, you know, you can see the continuity of that part of their family tree in that regard. It's kind of neat.
Question from Dana in the middle.
Dana O'Neill at The Athletic. Mike, I was wondering if you could just walk me back to when you went to go see your university president to tell him you were going to retire. Like, did you email him and give him a warning? Did you blindside him? I mean, that's a big announcement. I'm just wondering how that all went down.
No, Vince and I are good friends. You know, I've always taken the approach, I tell my assistants all the time this when they become head coaches. Remember, you work for somebody. You know, you work for an athletic director, and you definitely work for the president of the school. So develop good relationships with them. And Vince and I have a really good one, and I just made mention, I said I'd like to talk about my future, and so we carved out a time where I did it at his home. They have right on campus, and we had a couple-hour talk, and then the ball started rolling. But when I did talk to him, I said I still felt I wanted to coach for a year, and I didn't want COVID to be the last year, and I felt I was still healthy and energetic and whatever, but that I just couldn't ethically recruit, and I thought I presented a plan. I said, and I think it would be a good one for succession and continuity, and then, however, you're the ones who are going to pick the coach, but it's a good plan, and it's turned out to be a great plan, not a good one.
Question from Ron on the right.
Hi, Ron Krzyzewski from the San Francisco Chronicle.
By the way, I also talked with my future. You weren't yeah. So, but we were kicking the other guy out, so I wanted to make sure. And I wanted also, like Nina and I have really developed an unbelievable relationship during this year. So when I take on my next role, that'll be like a cool thing. It's just gone up a lot. Not that it wasn't good, but it's like really on steroids right now. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about if you've had much interaction with Eric Musselman or his dad back in the day, and how much, you mentioned the defense, how much Arkansas maybe takes on his personality. He's obviously kind of a fiery.
Yeah. Well, obviously, their family is one of the great names, one of the great families in the history of basketball in our country. His dad was just an amazing coach and defensive coach. Ash, and then Minnesota. And I think the kids at Arkansas benefit from the fact of Eric's experience in the pros. And you can see a lot of the pro influence, especially in some of the things they do offensively and some of the unique things they do defensively. And so I think it bears out number-wise. In the last 5-6 weeks, they've been as probably the best defensive team in the country.
Question from the back left.
Yeah, Coach, I don't want to bring up bad memories, but they say coaches remember the losses more than they remember the wins.
Not necessarily.
Okay. 1994, Nolan Richardson, Scotty
I do
Thurman.
remember that.
Okay, just your memories of that in Arkansas, playing Arkansas.
No, well, we played against a great team and one of the great coaches in our sport, in Nolan, and it was a heck of a game, and it came down to really a timeout, and I felt we knew Scotty Thurman was going to get the ball, and we got a fingernail on it, which didn't affect its trajectory, and he knocked it down, and we had an opportunity then right after it, but it was a hell of a game, and those things are disappointing in that you don't win, but they're not. I wasn't disappointed, like Pat was saying, with the effort. We really had a great year. An inside story on that. About a month and a half before that, we changed our offense a little bit, and I told Grant, I said, we're going to put a new offense in. It's going to be going to Charlotte offense, and put them up on top. And it worked. We did go to Charlotte. I should have said, I'm going to put a national championship thing on. So then he would have won 3. He might have won 3. Would have had a hell of a career. Look where he is now. Yeah.
We'll go to the center with a question.
Matt Norlander, CBS Sports. I've been following your team here dating back to a couple days before the Carolina closer at home.
Right.
And just kind of noticing your demeanor here at the NCAA Tournament and last week in Greenville, it does seem like you are, as loose as I've ever seen you. So I wanted to...
I'm not, don't
Well, this
No,
is
I'm not a loose guy.
this
but-
is leading up to my question. All right. So my question is this: how are you balancing that, unending competitive spirit, but also really trying to take in as much as you can? Because you never know when this is going to end. It hasn't ended yet, but I get the sense you're at least trying to smell as many of the roses as you can while still staying focused.
Yeah, I don't know, smelling. I do garden, by the way, and so I'm a flower guy. Yeah, no, I work my butt off out on outside, and love it. During those 10 days, I learned something, and I saw my team hurt, not just by a loss, but by a whole bunch of things. And I just had a good meeting with myself. I said that I got to do something. I got to help in some way. And part of it was my approach with them. And not that we've been really close and all that, but I just changed a little bit in doing. Even how, the timeout yesterday, right at the first timeout, and sitting on the last two games, they give you 20 minutes at halftime, and I've never done this before, but at Michigan State, and again last night, when I come in the locker room, I just pull out a chair, and I sit with them for about 5 minutes, and just, okay, here's where we at, and just talk to them. And then we go and talk as coaches, and then come back and get a little bit more fiery, or whatever. And it's had a good impact. It's had a really good impact. And like when we lost that, my whatever you want to call that day, and I looked and I saw my team, I felt really bad for them. I felt really bad that we lost. And when I said unacceptable, it wasn't that they were unacceptable. It was the result was unacceptable. And I wanted to make sure that that was not misconstrued by them. And so we've kind of, it's part of growing together, growing up. And I take responsibility for that. These are really good guys. This has been, John Shire said it yesterday when we were together as a staff, even before the game. He said, Coach, this is as good a group as we've had as far as getting along. They are really a good group of kids, and they're becoming men. And it's just, how lucky am I to go back again to Pat? I'm referencing you more than maybe you probably deserve it, but maybe Dana's being a little jealous now. But they've been really good, and for me to have that group in this final year for me, I think, I'm very thankful for that.
Question to the left.
Hey, Coach, Claire Hanna with TSN. Given the combination of the youth of this team and the fact that it is your last tournament, what would it mean to you and the team to make it to the Final Four?
No, I mean, for any team, whether you have an old team, a young coach, or the Final Four is the Final Four is Mecca for a player and a coach. It just, there's nothing like it. And so for me, it's like, I call it crossing a bridge. And very few people cross that bridge. And so I've been able to cross it with my teams 12 times. And to cross with this team would be an amazing thing for me. And I know what's on the other side of the bridge. They don't. They can only look at it. And so it makes me want it more for them. And obviously for me, come on. you can only give so much to the church. You want something back, you know, and a little bit of forgiveness and less of a penance when you go in the box, you know, and but it would be a cool thing.
Question from Bob on the left.
Hey, Mike, Bob Holt, Arkansas Democrat. Is that I was there in '94 too. I'm sure you remember me.
Yeah, what do we? You guys have a plot here or what?
Yeah, yeah.
Are you two together? Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about Tony because his two of his high-scoring games were against Duke. Just wondering what you've seen from him on film, and just what do you remember about playing him before?
No, he's got great energy. Yeah, I mean, that's something you look for in every player. Somebody, and he has outstanding athletic ability and competitiveness, but he plays with energy, man. And when you do that and you have the athletic ability that he has and the freedom that he has with Eric, you're going to make a lot of good plays. And he did that at Pitt for Jeff Capel, and he's doing it now on a team that's, really throughout the country, they're as hot as any team, really, in the last 20 games or so. I mean, they've had a remarkable time. I think they started the SEC 0-3, and what a turnaround. Although their league is very difficult. I mean, they've beaten Kentucky, Auburn, Gonzaga, Tennessee. Come on, it's an outstanding. It's one of the best teams in the country.
Any other questions for Coach? Back here.
Billy Witz with the New York Times. Mike, just the talk that you said you had with yourself kind of at the start of the tournament, I'm wondering if, No,
I had it during the week
before
the ACC tournament.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Took a while. It doesn't.
It's a long conversation.
No. The conversation didn't take long. The action from the conversation is not like an instant pill. You know, it's you got to. Anyway.
I'm wondering at what point in your career, or can you explain maybe just how I would imagine over, when you've been coaching as long as you have, that you evolve as a coach, and at what point might you have, at some point I would imagine you wouldn't have had those conversations. It would have been just like, hey, here's how we do things, and.
No, long time. Okay. I think you learn, I think it's important for any leader to be that leader's biggest critic, and because you know why you did it, you know how you did it, you know everything about it. Someone else can look at it, and no matter what, they will never know as much as you. And if you don't put the truth on the table and take responsibility, then you won't make the best out of the situation that you're in. I don't know if that makes sense. It makes sense to me. And I've learned that a long time ago. And, but again, it took me a while to learn that. And that's the best. It's the best.
Was there a moment that kind of like, hey, I've got to.
No, I don't know when that moment. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I can't, like February 12th, 1993. I don't know. But and part of it is because, okay, I'm being an idiot if I do this that way. It's not work. That doesn't work. That doesn't work. And what helps is the ability to continue to work with youngsters, the same period, same age group, 18 to 23, and you get different groups during your almost 5 decades. And so they help you learn how you're supposed to communicate with them, not with what you communicate with, but how to communicate with them. And that's been one of the exciting things for me over the time, because I actually have really good relationships with these guys. I'm worried if Shire will let me come to a practice or do, you know, like 3 years from now, and with some of the, even next year with some of the guys he's recruited. We got a Polish kid coming in, and I mean, I would think he would let me do that every once in a while, but we'll see if he gets a big head. All right. Okay, we're good?
Thank you, Coach.
All right, thank you.